Hello guys. I feel super weird and uncomfortable doing this, but we gotta do it, and this is exactly the reason why I'm filming this video. I'm Nabila and I want to go in 2026 with a completely different type of mindset. I feel like I started the year as a completely different person that I'm ending it now, and I want to keep that energy and maybe expand it throughout the next years. So what I want to talk about is, how do you not give a fuck anymore? That doesn't happen overnight. I'm getting there. I mean, I'm not there yet fully, but I'm starting to understand it a little bit better, especially with my plans for 2026, where I want to be live more for myself, but also be making more content and just get over that fear. I want to explain a little bit in detail how the past years have gone for me and what has made me realize that this is what I want to do. So let's completely dive in. I mean, I just want to add, I'm not making this just to be talking about myself. I mean, I love talking about myself, but that's not necessarily the reason why I'm doing this. I am sharing this because I feel do you know how at a marathon or something like that, how you have this or a race maybe, you have this person who has a gun and who shoots it to have show that it's starting, I guess. That's kind of what this video is going to be for me. Trying to start the year in an amazing way. Here we go. So a little story time for you guys. The past years have been pretty tough for me. I mean, if you really want to get from the beginning, I was studying music, and I was studying music industry to be precise. So it was everything that had to do with the music industry, anything except being an artist, basically. And I chose this study because music has always been the biggest thing in my life, my passion, my outlet, the safe space for me. I've never really learned to play or make music as a kid. I've actually never even gained a skill as a kid. I was kind of doing different stuff, kind of having all these ideas in my head and dreaming and playing, but not necessarily learning a skill. So I decided to do music industry just because I wanted to still be involved with music, even though I didn't have a skill. You could ask, it's never too late, right? You could always learn. But the thing is, I've always been a perfectionist. I think every time I started something, I would just never keep going because I would think I was really bad at it, and I would just assume a lot of people would have opinions about it, or I would think, a lot of people started doing this when they were 5. How can I ever compete with these people? Not thinking, maybe I should do this for me, and not needing it to have any value from others or any recognition from others. But I think to get to that point where you realize you're doing things for yourself and not necessarily for others, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of self-reflection, and you have to be very smart and mature. I mean, I'm saying this about myself. It sounds a bit crazy, but I think you know what I mean. So it's crazy to think that a kid would have this sense of, obviously not, But anyways, I was doing those studies, but I remember while studying being extremely lost and not knowing, do I want to be a music manager? Do I an artist manager? Do I want to be a booker? There weren't that many options, honestly. You could be a promoter in events. You could be a tour manager, all these type of things. And a lot of kids in my studies, they were really sure about what they wanted to do. They wanted to work at a label, they knew their field. And I was kind of hanging out with musicians and just chilling with them, didn't really know what I wanted to do. In the end, I kind of leaned towards writing about articles because I had a lot of knowledge about music. I had a lot of knowledge about their history, about genres. I thought maybe music selection is kind of my angle, but there's not a lot of opportunity in that. And so, yeah. So here I was, being extremely insecure, not knowing what I wanted to do. I decided to maybe go for a little interrail type of trip. I got a little taste of how traveling solo can be, and it can be extremely cool and very magical. So it's kind of like a drug, right? You have this high, you have this really high moment, and then you're oh, I want to do that again. That was a two-week summer or something. And I realized, damn, this is what I want to do. I need to find myself. I had this plan in my head, but then suddenly I got a call from an old teacher of mine saying hey, we've got this label. Do you want to work there as a project manager. I was like, you know what? Yeah, maybe, I can get this on my CV for a year. It'll be good. And then after that, I can do my travels. But the problem here is that I never really got to be in the present whilst working there. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I was always trying to I was never really fully fulfilled, thinking that if I got to travel, I got to experience life or find myself. One day I was living in Utrecht and I got evicted because of other reasons, not very important. The house was too expensive, I guess, so people sold it. I saw that as a sign of the universe back then to travel, and I still do believe that everything happens for a reason. So I wouldn't want to do it differently at all. But yeah, this is how it went. I went back to live with my grandma because couldn't live with my parents at the time. Actually really grateful that I got to live with my grandma back then because she passed away 6 months after I got back from my travels. So I'm really happy that I got to spend that special time solo with her. Went back to my grandma, saved a lot of money, and not that much money. I saved money for 2 months, and then I went to travel. I went to Asia. And at some point I was in Indonesia and I met this guy who said yeah, I just got a visa for Australia. It's so easy. You can get it within seconds. And I was like, what? I applied for it. I went to Australia thinking I would get a job extremely easily. Turned out it was very difficult. I found out they pay you week by week instead of by month, which they do in the Netherlands. So it was kind of difficult to save money. And by that time, I was taking a leap of faith because I was traveling for about 2 months by then, almost having no money. And I wanted to extend my trip and squeeze all the juice of the lemons, of life's lemons. Thinking, I could travel there and save money, the opposite happened. I was losing money. I was kind of waiting until the next paycheck would come, and I was not experiencing Australia the way I was supposed to. So I would love to go back to Australia someday, but this time it was not the experience that I wanted to have. I must say I had extremely, extremely nice people around me who were really helpful and really, really nice to me. And honestly, I couldn't ask for any other, it wasn't about the Australians, let's say that. It was about the situation. Yeah, it wasn't great. And also completely underestimated the fact that when you move to a new place, there's a lot of aspects to it. There's a lot of stuff you have to deal with. And me going there on a whim thinking, let's get it, especially thinking you're gonna try to find yourself there, the opposite is gonna happen at first. You're gonna kind of lose yourself and you're gonna try to find yourself in different ways. And I have never been more Dutch than I have ever been when I was in Australia, because I really felt like I wanted to watch Dutch TV again. I was missing the Netherlands a lot. I had a different type of humor than Australian people. I didn't really get the references they were talking about, and I would also have references that they wouldn't know. I had an accent there. I mean, I still do, but that kind of sets you apart from other people who come from there, so they kind of see right away that you're not from there, so you feel that. That was kind of difficult to deal with, and especially when you don't have a social backup like your family around. I mean, moving in Europe, I can see myself doing that and then going back to the Netherlands maybe every 2 months or something. But Australia was tough, man. You can't leave. You can't just suddenly go back and then go back to Australia. You know what I mean? I mean, unless you have a lot of money, but I didn't have any money back then. So if I would go back to the Netherlands, I would go back. In the end, I just got my losses and I went back to the Netherlands. And once I got back, I didn't have any money. I didn't have a place, or at least my own place. I could go back to my grandma's back then. She was still alive also, but didn't have any money, didn't have a job. And mind you, I moved from Utrecht to Amsterdam, and the friends I had there, it was kind of they were starting to crack, By then I had already left for almost a year, so I had to start over fully. So that was really tough. I think I mean It's hard to say, but I would say maybe I got into a depression back then. I was definitely really unhappy, let's say that. So I got back and then I started working at a booking agency, which was also, I was working as an administrative worker. So I didn't really get much of like choice. I couldn't really choose where to work back then. I had to have money. So I started working as an administrative worker. But the thing is, my ego was not really doing well when it came to that, because I was doing this like project managing job. And now I was an administrative worker, you know, I kind of like, it took me a long time to kind of accept that also. Take orders from people and my ego, I was so arrogant back then. Honestly, like if I look back at it, I'm like, damn, like the way I was thinking and the way I was handling emotions was so, I don't know, I was just really trying to survive. Once my grandma passed away, I've experienced a lot of pain, a lot of, it was absurd. My nan has always been like a second mom to me. Like she's been a factor of stability for me, and she's always been that for me. And to lose her was a great loss. But I could go two ways. I could either go and travel again. No, I'm kidding. I could either go party and try to like do what I've always done and distract myself with a lot of things, maybe go shopping, buy some clothes, going back into like the dating mode again, party a lot, which I was doing around that time. I was going out a lot, and in the end I decided to stop drinking. I wanted to feel the feelings fully. It took me a couple of months before my brain was getting into balance again. I mean, I wasn't drinking that much, but 2 drinks in a week is already over your body capacity, let's say. Like it has an effect on your overall health. I just wanted to try it out and see how it went. Just the fact that you're not seeking any distractions anymore, at least you're not reaching for something different than just feeling whatever you need to feel. So I did that. And the way it's changed me, holy shit, it's done a lot for me. The first thing I've realized is that once you feel something shitty, you just sit there and you feel it, and you don't give it a name. You just feel it, you sense it in your body. Where is it coming from? And you don't even have to explain it to yourself, or you know, the only thing you have to do is just feel it. Don't rationalize it. Don't start thinking about what it means to you or why it is there. Just feel. And it takes a couple of seconds, maybe even, before it's gone. It's maybe like 30 seconds or something. And then I can already feel it like going away. Definitely massive for me, because this meant that I could bounce back. So if I can bounce back, then everything I was afraid of doesn't have to be scary anymore, because I can bounce back. So if I get rejected, I can bounce back. If I start a new hobby and I fail, I can bounce back. So that kind of started to like creep into my life a bit. I started to do something that I've always wanted to do, but I was always afraid to do. I started DJing. And I've always been, well, not always, but I've been DJing a lot since like 2018 or something from home. But I was never really that good at it, because I was never trying it that much, because I was always scared of the failure and the feeling of I've been going out there, I've been playing, you know, I've been playing in clubs, I've been playing at like podcasts, I've been playing in a store lately. Like it was really good, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. I don't stress anymore. I feel pretty chill. And the thing is, I'm not taking feedback the wrong way anymore. Also, feedback is good. Feedback is people trying to see you win. A lot of people, I can see it around me, have this mentality of like kind of anticipating criticism, just anticipating that people are gonna hurt them. So they're already kind of like standing like this, kind of like waiting for when the next fight's gonna happen, you know? And then the moment someone says something, they're like, see, and are taking it the wrong way. And I've come to realize that, first of all, if they don't like me, that's fine, you know? And if they say something or criticize me, is really to help me out. And I feel like a lot of people who don't know you can actually see some things that you don't see. So you need other people to understand yourself better sometimes as well. And this also goes into relationships. You know, like I was really trying to find myself in relationships. I really wanted a boyfriend. Like I really was dating and going back to back with dates, trying to find like some sort of like fulfillment the same way I was trying to fulfill my life with traveling and with like external factors. Love is not something that is conditional. It's not something that is like a transaction. Like you say to yourself, oh, now I'm ready. I want a relationship. And now I'm going to just go on, write a checklist and go shopping and see if someone fits my checklist. You know, like these people are people too. They have emotions. They have their own baggage. I wasn't ready to deal with that baggage. I wasn't ready. I kind of like the idea of being with someone and not being alone and feeling like I belonged to a certain person and this person could maybe add something to my life. But I was very much in this like take energy, and I wasn't necessarily really being there for this person when they needed it, you know? And but I couldn't even be there for myself, let alone be there for someone else. I believe that love is about being able to accept a person for who they are. And if they have to go, they have to go, you know? I feel like I was never really content with the man I was seeing. I always tried to change him in a certain way for him to make me feel better. But I couldn't just accept the way this person was, you know? I mean, I've been looking into Alison Armstrong's content, and wow, she changed my life. Like, she's so amazing. The way she explains that we're kind of like seeing men as misbehaving women. And I mean, I don't want to speak for all women, but I could definitely recognize myself in this. I would really kind of like mistrust men because they weren't behaving like a woman would. But I didn't know. I was kind of assuming that everyone would think that this way, you know, as a woman does, because I'm a woman, until you find out that they think in such different ways. Like the reason they do things generally are for very different reasons than how we do things, or the way we think, or the way we communicate things. I've come to realize that, you know, from dating, I've experienced a lot of shitty dates, and I've experienced a lot of guys who weren't committal. And I think the universe was really trying to protect me and really saying like, hey, Nabila, like, don't go and date with these guys because this is not the right timing, and this is absolutely, you're not in the right mind space, you know. And I'm actually really happy that those situations did not happen. And I believe that, you know, I was getting a lot of shitty feelings towards men, you know. I was thinking like, why are all men non-committal? And I was not looking at the individual anymore also. I was just thinking like, men are this or men are that, or, you know. Generally, men want the best for us. And once I've come to realize this, I've seen it in everything. They're always trying to help me in different ways, but I usually just don't let them. Also, I don't let them finish. And I see this in TV shows also, like Love is Blind or something. You know, when they have an argument, the girl's never letting the guy finish his sentence. And they just then start shutting up. You know, they just stop talking because they're like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm not getting a word in, so let's just let her talk. And we're like, why are men never talking to us? Like, why are they never emotional and blah, blah, blah? Well, there you go. That's one of the reasons, you know? So once I started to understand that there's also a part that I'm playing and that they're not as bad, it helps me develop a sense of calm and a sense of security, knowing that the world's not that bad, you know, and men aren't that bad. So I feel like this video is about like a lot of different topics, you know, like traveling, picking up hobbies, actually doing stuff you want to do, and also start trusting in the opposite sex, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I want to be making more content. I want to be sharing my thoughts a little bit more. Just for myself, because I love doing it and I don't want to give a fuck anymore about what people think. I'm not saying this in a way that I don't care about people's opinions, because in the end, I think for me, success and life is about connection and love, being around people who I truly love and want happiness for. And I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm doing something that is really nice for me. And the reason why I was talking about dating is because currently I've decided to just not date for a while and spend all that energy that I've spent into dating on myself. Like, just to see what would happen if I do that, you know? Well, what happens is that you you channel that energy into things that you always wanted to do without having to think about a guy, what his opinion is, or like, you know, if I post a story on Instagram, I'm never thinking anymore about like, what's he gonna think, you know, like trying to adapt to a certain like type of person that you assume that they like. It's just so freeing to know that you can just do whatever you want to do without anyone's opinion. I mean, it's still very scary, but I was like, you know, go for it. Let's just go for it. See where it goes. I like talking. I like filming. I like editing. I like music. It's all coming together this way. So here we go.